what ibogaine does to change someone's brain. It literally is healing your brain. What else does this?
They've been looking, Dr. Nolan Williams, who he just referenced in that video, he's the neuroscientist that led the study at Stanford. He said in his lifetime, it is the single best substance he has ever seen for this field. He has seen it all, and that was his assessment.
All right, we're back. Number
Again.
4.
Yep.
I love it. You look beautiful.
Aw, thank you. Wearing my
You got,
Christmas colors.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
This
I
will,
know.
this will air in January, but we are recording the week of Christmas. I can't believe Christmas is here already.
I know. I'm trying to make it Christmassy because I feel like it's going to
Like 80
fly right
degrees
by.
in
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah. I thought about, I don't know, blowing some snow in the front yard, but I think the kids would know better. So I'm not
Right.
going to do it.
Probably wouldn't last very long.
No, we're having kind of a brown Christmas because all our leaves are just now falling. So it feels very much like fall.
Wow, a little late.
Yeah.
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 The fall season's almost over.
Yep,
That should
I
have
know.
happened a while ago.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
I'm excited about today's episode because we have some news that we're finally able to share with everyone, and you've had quite an exciting couple of weeks since we recorded episode 3. So let's just get into it. Tell us what's going on.
Well, I got some good news last week. I actually had the news before, but I got permission to share the good news last week from Governor Perry, who I met with. Jim and I met with him last week, had a great meeting. He is such a God-fearing Christian man, and I really just wanted to hear from him directly about his salvation experience and what God really meant in his life, because he's been in politics for so long. You don't see that a lot in that world. But he also has given me permission to say that he is writing the foreword for my book. So that is exciting. And he's very excited about my book. He has talked to a lot of people. Every time I see him, he's asking me for more. So this time I just took some to him and he's like, oh, thank you. So yeah, he's been a huge supporter, and he is very much running into the same arguments that with people, because a lot of people come to him because he's on the front lines of spreading this message and getting this approved in all the states here in the United States. And he is very much coming up against the same arguments that I had. So when he read my book and he saw the way that I laid out, how I overcame the arguments and the stigma and really relied on scripture and science to make the decision, I knew that I was not going to go to hell for doing this. And so it's laid out very well in the book. And he said this is one of the most important tools that we need in this space because so many people have that same mindset. And even if they're not Christians, they have the whole 60s, here's your brain on drugs with, this Just Say No campaign and all of that. And it's just this substance does not belong in that category. There are definitely drugs that belong in that category and they need to stay in that category.
Right.
This is not one of them. So that is what he is trying to help people understand. This drug is actually saving lives and actually healing brains. So, and the best part about it is it's bringing a lot of people to Jesus. So there are people that have entered this journey with feeling like they don't even believe there's a God. And they go through the journey and they may not come out, born again, but they know that there is something much bigger than them out there, which is exactly how it starts, right? Like you can't believe that there you can't believe in our God if you don't believe there is a God. So
Right.
you have to know there is something bigger than you,
It's
and that
kinda
is
like all the different levels that we've heard growing up that Satan, tries to use to keep people from knowing the Lord, AKA Jesus, is he first tries to convince you there is no God, then he tries to convince you it doesn't matter which God, and then he tries to convince you you're God and,
right,
anything you can do. So, yeah, coming from the atheist standpoint, which I'm actually of the mind that most atheists are actually not really atheists. They're actually just mad at God, and so they want to pretend like he doesn't exist and try to make arguments against him. But let's say you truly believe there is no God.
right.
This compound is bringing people to a genuine encounter with something that they know is not of this world. That
Right,
is not that is a metaphysical being.
right,
So
absolutely.
uh,
And it is a
that's the
moving.
start of
Yes. I try to explain it to people. It's a moving towards God. It may not be you're landing in his lap or at his feet. But you are definitely moving towards him in a lot of instances. I won't say every instance because that, it's just not
sure.
a fact. But yes, in a lot of instances. And then there are numbers of people who grew up like we did or in church somehow, all kinds of
Or
denominations.
with some kind of religious background or
Right.
whatever that
That
wouldn't be deniers that there's a
Right.
God.
Right. But they've turned their back on God for whatever reason, usually because of something they've been through that they blame God
Hmm.
or whatever. And this encounter brings them back in such a profound way
Yeah.
that they are on fire for him like they've never been in their whole life. And I remember growing up and we weren't allowed to do anything wrong. Like we were not allowed to. I mean, I was like, I don't really
There
have
was
any.
there was zero grace.
Yeah. Well,
There
I'm
was
saying
only rules.
yeah, but I'm saying like because I'm a rule keeper, I'm a rule follower, and I wanted to please those around me.
Hmm.
I didn't do a lot of things that, in my head were going to send me to hell. But I heard these testimonies of people that, had these radical life transformations when they met
Right.
Jesus. And that's what kept me doubting my salvation all the time because I never had this big life change. I just, dad would preach a scary sermon. I would go forward and get saved and then baptized again. And then, you know, 3 months later, he'd preach another scary sermon. I'd go back forward,
Right.
get saved again just in case the last one didn't take because I didn't
Yep.
want to,
Get me one more time. Let's
yeah,
make
just
sure
in
the holy
case.
water is gonna put the flames out.
Yeah, only because I never had this huge life transformation because I was not allowed to ever do anything wrong, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone was watching us. Well,
We were in church 17 times a week. So
yeah. So now it's like after everything that's happened in
right.
my life and all the stupid stuff that I've done,
Right.
and then and even to the place of like when I was not wanting to be here anymore and just threw up this
Mm,
really disrespectful, flippant prayer to him where I would have, smoked me, whatever, with a lightning bolt. Even after
right.
all of that, and he still came to me, he
Mm,
still came and rescued me. And it's like that is a life
mm,
transformation. So
mm.
that is why I am just so excited about this medicine because the gift that was given to me. Yes, did it help my TBI? Absolutely. Yes, did it help my complex PTSD? Did it remove the victimhood that I had lived in for so long? Yes, but it restored my relationship with my true father. And there is not a gift that is better
Mm.
than that. So that is
Somehow
why
some miracle happened in this thing,
it totally
and
did.
it showed you like who God truly was. He
Yes.
he showed up as himself,
Yes.
not how someone else described him, or
Mhm.
not how someone else experienced him, or how you had experienced religion and church
Right.
and spiritual authority in the past and all that. He showed up as himself,
Right. And he
which
was
was overwhelmingly
overwhelming.
loving
Yes,
and
yes.
gracious.
Undeniable. It was undeniable, and I will never forget it. I
Mm,
if I forget my children's names, this is not something that will ever leave my brain. It is like part of my DNA now. And what's so crazy is because nobody knows what God looks like. No one really knows what Jesus
right,
looks like. We have these paintings, and all the stuff, but when he shows up, he is recognizable to you. He
right,
shows up in the way that he knows you're going to recognize
mm,
him. So he may
right.
look different to me in the way I
Okay,
envision
okay.
him.
Now you're getting into some stuff
Yeah.
because I love the book and the movie The Shack. Okay.
Yes. I know. There's people that
There's
hate that
people that
movie.
hate it. They're like,
Oh my gosh.
this
Yes.
is so wrong. God is not a black woman and God is
Oh
not
my
a
gosh.
this and that. I'm like, first of all, come on. This is not a theology book. This is not a autobiography or a biography of God.
Right.
It's fiction. First of
Right.
all, he
Yeah.
never claims that this is like real or a
Right.
true story. But
Right.
I love the way God shows up in a safe way to this guy. And
Right.
obviously the whole you find out in the end the whole thing, sorry, spoiler alert, the whole thing is probably like a dream or whatever,
Right.
but then there's this other thing that I was like, okay, was it actually real? I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
But but this woman was safe for him.
Yeah.
It was how God, if God can show up in a bush as fire,
This
if he
is what I'm
can
saying.
if
This
he
is
can he can, I mean, let's just think about, he showed up as a cloud by
a
day
pillar of
and
fire,
fire by night. Um,
a burning
he's
bush.
a burning bush.
He he
Um,
he is not going to be put in anybody's box.
yeah,
That is exactly the lesson here. I mean, he was constantly correcting the Pharisees because he didn't fit inside their
right,
rules and their way that they imagined it. They were constantly saying, "Okay, come back tomorrow and heal because today is the Sabbath. You're not allowed to do that today." And he's like, the Sabbath was created for man, not man for, or yeah, not
yeah,
man for the Sabbath. And it's
yeah.
like everything that they tried to throw at him,
Mm.
he cracked right in half. And that is
He
exactly,
was a rebel.
yeah, that's what
He was like
yeah, I know, what did we say last time? He just
anti-religion.
stirred it up, just because he
Yeah,
could. And I
right,
love that because it's what the difference is in religion and relationship.
right.
I do not want religion at all. And I don't think Jesus does either. There's nothing religious about Jesus. He was very much about relationship. He
Mm.
absolutely, listen, he out of respect for his Jewish culture did the things he needed to do, but not at the expense of a relationship. If you think
I
through,
definitely agree with you, not at the expense of a relationship, but I think we got to be careful saying that. First of all, I understand exactly what you're saying. I
yeah.
know what you're saying,
What I'm
but
what I'm saying is he did not allow the Jewish tradition, okay?
there you
Like,
go, there you go. Now you're talking
yeah.
more specifically about tradition.
Yeah, but that is the religion. The tradition,
I don't think so because Christianity is a religion.
well,
So if we talk
but
about the definition of religion, Christianity is one. But Christianity is a religion that is based on a relationship
right.
with
Yeah.
Jesus that
Yeah.
you can't, and
Yeah.
unfortunately we've got a lot of people
Yeah.
in the Christian religion that actually don't have a relationship with Jesus.
Right, because it's
So, yeah,
easier to check the boxes. It's
right,
easier to I've said a million times, I would have been a really good Jewish person. There's 613 laws. That's all I had to do was just make sure I was, like, checking these
right.
boxes. I am a box checker, like,
Done,
I could
done,
do that.
done, 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 done.
Right, and then you
Mm.
feel like, "Okay, I did it, so I'm good." And that's not what he's after. He is
Like
after our hearts, you know?
the rich young ruler that came to Jesus and
Yeah.
said, "What do I have to do to inherit eternal life?" And he said, keep the commandments or whatever, don't do this, don't do that, don't do these. Like, all of these I've done since I
Yeah.
was young. One thing
Yeah.
that you're missing, go and sell everything that you have, give it to the poor, and come and follow me. What was he getting at there?
Yeah.
His affections,
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
he actually loved.
Yeah.
There's I love John Piper because he gets to the heart, and he's like, there Satan is more religious
Yeah.
than 99.9. Satan knows the Bible, Satan knows theology, Satan knows God
Yeah.
way better than any of us.
Yeah.
What is the difference? It is affection. It is he hates God.
Yeah.
He wants to destroy God. He wants to be God.
Mhm.
He will not surrender. He will not bow the
Mhm.
knee. He will not give his heart
He
and
will one
life.
day bow the knee.
Oh, he absolutely will.
Yeah. I'm
But
looking for a front row seat
yeah,
at that one. Yep.
so you're the point that we're getting at is there's so many people that go into this with this idea of God or an idea that God doesn't exist. And
Right.
in this journey with Ibogaine, they're coming out after this journey. Whatever happens
Mhm.
in the journey, they're coming out with a whole different, more clear. Maybe not. I mean, we all see through a glass darkly, dimly, no matter how smart
Right.
theologically or whatever we are.
Right.
But they are more clear about God being real and about who he is and how he works and all that. They are drawn to him.
Yeah. Definitely more of a moving towards him. And I felt like because of a lot of people that I meet in this space that when they say God, it is not the God that I worship. It is not
Mm,
God whose son is Jesus, you know? And so I had never asked specific, I've had several conversations with people, but I had never asked Governor Perry. And so one of the questions that I wanted to ask him personally was about his salvation experience. And when I first asked him that, we were by ourselves in the room with him and we were following with a meeting that some more people were coming into, and I thought he would give me a pretty quick answer, that had no idea what he was about
mm,
to say. And so he started talking about when he was 14 and went into this whole story, of living on the farm with his mom, who was his biggest spiritual influence.
mm,
And then as he kept talking, all these people started coming in the room, and I thought he'd probably wrap it up pretty quickly, but he didn't. He just was so in the moment, reflecting back on
mm.
everything God did in his life, and he got
Wow.
choked up, and he was so sincere,
Mm,
and it was a beautiful, beautiful encounter, and I'm just honored
wow.
that he is in this fight, that he is on the front line and doing everything in his power to bring awareness to this healing substance.
Wow, praise God. And to
Yeah.
be a little more specific, he's writing the foreword to the second edition of
Yes.
your book, The
Right.
Christian's Guide to Psychedelics. So there's going to be
Right.
a second edition coming out with a new foreword from him and three new chapters,
Three new chapters. Right.
one being testimonials.
Right.
What are the other two?
The second chapter, after the testimonials, will be where we are currently in the fight to have this reclassified as a Schedule One instead of Schedule One as a Schedule Three drug, and then the last chapter is a call to action.
Okay.
What people can do if they're looking to find help or jump on board the bandwagon to help move the movement
Yeah,
forward.
I love it.
Yeah.
So speaking of Schedule One, um, that for people that may not know, that's basically all drugs that are illegal, almost pretty much.
Yeah.
So
And
that
they,
cocaine, heroin,
yeah, things that do not
methamphetamine.
have any medicinal purpose and are highly addictive, which is the
Yeah,
opposite
that's
of
what
Ibogaine.
Schedule One
That's
means,
Schedule
and they're
One.
highly illegal and highly, you can get thrown in jail for taking it. You can get thrown in jail for dealing it, all that.
Right.
And Governor Perry and Brian Hubbard talk about that on the Joe Rogan podcast that they did, or I think it was January or
Yeah,
February
it was.
of this year of 2025, and I want us to watch part of it where Brian goes into some of the medical properties and things that are happening. So the point that Governor Perry makes on the podcast is that we are in a fight to get ibogaine legalized in the U.S. because it's legal in so many countries around the world, and people are having to go to those countries to get it and to use it because it's illegal in the US, and it's costing way more than it should have to cost to get it, and it's not accessible to so many people because they cannot spend that money or take that time to go wherever.
Right.
And
Well,
so people
and
are dying.
right. Oh, well, and the main group of people that they're focused on right now are the veterans who
Right.
defended this country. They didn't defend Mexico. They didn't defend
Right.
Costa Rica. They defended
Canada
this.
or
Yeah,
France
this
where
is
this
the
is
country
legal.
that they gave their life for or were
Right.
willing to give their life for, and then they come back here and they can't even have access to a drug that in many cases has saved them from committing suicide, because
Yeah.
the suicide rate among the veterans is crazy. And so this needs to
Governor
happen.
Perry says it's 20 a day.
Yeah, needs to happen way sooner than later.
Yeah. So, so he talks about in the video that in the 70s, because of political purposes, Nixon wraps up all of these, psychedelics and hallucinogenic things into the same thing as heroin and cocaine and methamphetamines and all these other things. And he just, without any research, without any kind of understanding of medical properties or whatever, even though we know some of these psychedelics were being used for medical purposes in the
Oh, right.
military at the
And they
time,
were
or for
right. They were researching it and had been for decades. And it
yeah,
was like all that research just got trashed.
dumb, just thrown out
And
the
for
window.
I mean, think about for 50 years plus all the research we could have been doing and how
Right.
many people would be saved right now
Yes.
because of that. And it was not a good time.
So that's what happened in the 70s with Nixon. During the hippie age, they just wrapped it all up into one big swooping class one thing. And so now finally, there's been a Stanford study. There's now FDA study happening in Texas, $50 million study. And so the word is getting out. Americans for Ibogaine is in existence, which he's on the board of, and I think Brian Hubbard represents, and Marcus Luttrell's on the board, and you've done some stuff with them. So it's finally starting to move a little bit. But let's watch this video where Brian Hubbard comes in and starts talking about um, what ibogaine does to change someone's brain.
Okay.
Because we're not just talking about veterans or PTSD or traumatic brain injuries, TBIs. There's also applications with Parkinson's and other stuff. So let's watch this real quick.
In 2018, individuals by the name of Amber and Marcus Capone founded an organization called VETS. Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. Marcus Capone had been a special operator, and he had done multiple tours in both Afghanistan and Iraq. When he came home, finally from war, Amber described an individual who bore no resemblance to the man that she married. He came home as a severely traumatized individual and was met by a system which could not in any way effectively address the nature of his trauma. Recognizing that his life was at stake, as well as the future of her family, she became desperate and went online and discovered the existence of a compound called Ibogaine. She made arrangements for Marcus to receive treatment from an individual by the name of Martin Polanco, who operated a clinical operation called Mission Within. Amber, as a last shot at saving her family, sent him to Mexico to receive Ibogaine treatment. She said when he returned, he came back as the man she remembered marrying before he ever went to war. As they learned about other friends of theirs who were coming back home with similar circumstances on the verge of familial dissolution, with Marcus and his friends at the verge of suicide, they began just as a friend group to put money together to send their close circle of individuals down to receive this treatment. They came together to form VETS, and since 2018, over 1,000 veterans have traveled to the Ambio Clinic south of Tijuana to receive Ibogaine treatment for symptoms of traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder. Because of the miraculous outcomes which were endorsed by the veterans who were receiving this treatment, a group of philanthropists funded a study out of Stanford University, which was led by Dr. Nolan Williams. And over the course of several years, a cohort of 30 veterans were evaluated before and after Ibogaine treatment. They were evaluated comprehensively through the administration of a battery of psychological tests to quantify the nature and duration of their symptoms. They underwent pre- and post-treatment MRI scans. These scans were compared against a database which had been compiled of hundreds of thousands of healthy adult brains covering the human lifespan. And through an algorithmic assessment, the question was, what was the physiological effect upon the human brain, if any, to explain these miraculous outcomes where veterans who had been on the verge of suicide, who had been paralyzed by symptomatology associated with profound anxiety, profound depression, in many cases, veterans who were prescribed an array of habituating pharmacology, which ineffectively addressed their symptomatology, were not just back to what they could remember being before they experienced their trauma, but had been liberated from that pharmacology. The results of that study are nothing short of miraculous when it comes to the way in which Ibogaine has been revealed to have significant neuroregenerative properties that impact the human brain, with profound implications for conditions for which there are no current effective treatments. Specifically, the white matter that covers the surface of our brains, which is the highway across which all of our thoughts and impulses travel, grew and thickened in size across the entire surface of each of these veterans' brains. The centers of the brain responsible for emotional regulation and executive functioning grew in size. The average reversal of brain age among this cohort of 30 veterans was 1.5 years, with the top 5 among that cohort seeing a reversal of brain age of almost 5 years. Right now, there are individuals who live offshore from the United States who are using Ibogaine to effectively treat symptoms associated with multiple sclerosis, Lyme disease, and Parkinson's disease. Just about 2 weeks ago, Governor...
And then he goes into, what happened with the Parkinson's guy that had taken it and couldn't walk and was bedridden, and then he's riding his bike every day.
I've seen the video. It's crazy. It's
I know.
absolute
I
insanity.
highly encourage people to go and watch that episode. You can just on YouTube search Joe Rogan, Rick Perry, Ibogaine, or whatever. So, but that's so cool. It literally is healing your brain. What else does this?
They've been looking, Dr. Nolan Williams, who he just referenced in that video, he's the neuroscientist that led the study at Stanford. He said in his lifetime, it is the single best substance he has ever seen for this field. And so I don't know what else you need to know after that.
Right.
Like he's he has seen it all, and that was his assessment.
It just happens to cause hallucinations.
Sure.
But these hallucinations, are they actually hallucinations? Because God is showing up and talking to you.
You know, we use the word hallucination, right? That's the word
Right.
everybody wants to use. But are they visions?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's what you are seeing. I think of a hallucination in a way of like being very, like, I don't know, like a kaleidoscope or something. I mean, I've never had any other hallucinations, so I don't know
Yeah.
how to really pinpoint it. But there's no kaleidoscope. Now, there
Yeah.
are times that I saw like the sky with all the stars.
Mm-hmm.
Did God not create the sky with all the stars? I mean, there was
Right.
nothing that I saw that could not be called a vision. There's nothing.
Would you call it like a dream while you're awake?
It's very much like that. Now, I personally never remember my dreams, ever, ever, ever. But I can promise you, if I had dreams like these, I would remember them, right?
Well,
So,
but that has something to do like when it stops and when you wake up and
yeah.
stuff like that,
But
and
this was, yeah.
how
This,
impactful the dream
yes.
is and stuff like that.
But see, the weird thing is, okay, so when I was in Mexico in April, my first round of Ibogaine was 22 hours. Okay, so there were times during that 22 hours that I would drift off. But then when the Lord was trying to show me something, it would wake me up. And he would give me this scene. He would tell me the insight into the scene and then give me instruction. And it was like, I hope I didn't miss anything while I accidentally fell asleep because it was so profound, all of it. And then I was afraid to take my eye mask off and my headphones on to go to the bathroom, so I didn't want to miss anything. So it was so profound. And I don't know how to explain it other than, was it dream-like? Yes.
Right.
But I felt like it was very instructional. And I feel as though, and I'm not claiming this for all of everyone's experiences, but I
Right.
feel like because of how it happened to me, the visions, the insight, and the instruction, so much so that he asked me to apologize to someone in the middle of my dreamlike state. I don't know.
Which you were able to pause.
Which I had to pause. No, I wasn't able to.
Dream slash.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And-
wasn't.
and-
It wasn't. Yes, it wasn't just an able to. It was like, if you want to continue, you will be obedient now. So I'm like, yes, sir.
Stop
And
you're hallucinating.
yeah, right.
Go tell Tom that you're sorry.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I
Wow.
don't.
How do you what category do you put
I don't
that in?
know. That's the part I don't know. I put it in the encounter with God.
Right.
I literally felt like, okay, because in my first visit, it was 22 hours, right? Then I took a day off. Then I had a booster dose the next day, took a day off, another booster dose, took a day off, another booster dose, took a day off, another booster dose. So it's 5 rounds. I literally walked away every single time feeling like Moses had the meeting at the tent, the tent of
Glowing.
meeting.
His face was glowing after meeting with God.
Yeah, I don't know if I was glowing. I don't think I was, but I felt like I had just met with God, got my instruction, and I was like, okay, yes, what I cannot wait for the next one. And if I hadn't had a husband and 4 children, I'd probably still be there every other day doing my boosters and getting the rest of my.
Okay, so now you're getting into something where, okay, so should this be should everyone do this just so they can have a
Yeah.
more profound encounter with God? Because we're talking about levels of consciousness, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about different states of consciousness. Like we know awake and asleep.
Right.
You typically are not having I mean, yeah, you can have a daydream where you're like, and you find yourself thinking about something or whatever, but that's usually not involving like,
Yeah. It's
panoramic
not
scenery
no,
and
it's not like when you drift, like, you're kind of drifting off.
daydreaming or whatever. Yeah.
It's nothing like that. That's for me, it's not visual. My
Right.
mind is on something, but
Right.
I'm
That's
not
what I'm
seeing it
saying. It's
same.
not, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you are envisioning something, but
Yeah.
it's all like it just, you're not
It's in your
actually
yeah,
seeing
it's
it.
in your subconscious. It's not
Right.
with your yeah. But for me, I would never say everybody should do it. I would
Right.
say everyone may want to pray about whether it is for them.
Sure.
I Here's what I know for a fact. It took me a long time to even accept the diagnosis of PTSD. I did not think that that was something that I qualified for on any
Right.
level. But I got an actual psychiatrist to diagnose me because my counselor diagnosed me, and I was just like, yeah, I don't think so. And then I went to an actual doctor who they would know, and he was like, absolutely. And um, but then I know for me, the PTSD and the TBI, even though they were definitely affected for the positive, for me it was the healing I got between me and the Lord.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody who lives in the world that we live in who hasn't struggled in ways like that. Maybe not to the degree that I did, but I think everyone could use a tune-up, if for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
with their relationship, with the Lord. And it's a reset of your brain. And I don't know, I would never encourage somebody to do it, but I would encourage them to not be opposed to it. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Let the Lord call
Yeah.
you to it. But
Yeah.
if he, and I think what we're getting at with all of it is God. God is using it
Yeah.
to bring a group of people, whoever is supposed to be in that group and whoever is supposed to do it, to bring them to a greater understanding of him at whatever level or whatever point that they're on, right?
Right. Right.
So let's talk about that, because this world that you're living in, there's a lot of it. It's kind of all over the place
Yeah, it
with that.
is. Yeah.
So talk about that and your challenge and your, you know, how you're dealing with that from the standpoint of, because there's people that I think you mentioned it. You needed to know which God Rick Governor Perry was talking about. Are we talking
Yeah.
about the God who is the Father of Jesus, and
Right.
Jesus is his one and only Son, and
Yeah.
you
I
come to
wanted
him
I
through
I
Jesus?
wanted yeah, I wanted to hear from him. I don't I have learned not to assume, because there are people that have language that sounds very Christian, and but yet I don't think that they are on the same page with me, and which is
Mhm.
fine, because here's what the Lord revealed to me. Okay. Especially like right now during the Christmas season. So you've heard about the Magi, and the Magi were not
AKA
Christian.
the wise men.
Right. They were not Christian or Jewish people. They were astrologers, living among pagan um, nations, and a lot of people think they're from Babylon. Okay, and
Well,
they showed up.
I think they are known to be pagan
Yeah, I
themselves.
couldn't find hard evidence, but they were surrounded by pagans, and
Mhm.
they definitely were doing something that God didn't condone, which is astrology, right? That is not something that God
They're
condoned.
reading the stars for
Right. But
their
but let's talk
knowledge.
about what did God do, right? God was after them. Okay, so what does he do? He puts a star, was something he knew they would see. He puts a star right in the sky, and that star led them to his son. And
Mm,
they are the first people in scripture that are recorded as bowing down to Jesus.
wow.
And not only, so they came from a pagan nation, probably involved in paganism themselves, definitely involved in something God didn't condone. But what did he do? He met them right where they were, drew them to himself through his son, and then they bowed down and worshiped Jesus, the very first people. And then not only that, they left worshiping him and obeyed God in a dream not to go back to Herod. So they were totally changed,
Mm,
totally changed. And it saved
wow.
Jesus's life because Herod couldn't get to him.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, I feel like God has placed me with these people who may not quite understand who he is yet, but he is going to meet them right where they are because they are searching for something. They just haven't found the same God, the same Jesus that we have that can save their soul. But they
Yes.
are open and they are looking. So I cannot shy away from the paganism surrounding this space simply because I'm not part of that or it's scary to me. No, Paul went and preached right in front of the pagan idols.
Right.
God brought the pagans into the presence of his son, and that changed them forever. I mean, Mary Magdalene had 7 demons possessing her. And that didn't scare Jesus off. So that's what I'm trying to
Mm,
remind myself is that
mm,
going into these spaces and talking to people who aren't like me, but who are as desperate to find the love and the peace and the approval and the acceptance and the forever of that, not just temporary, they're only going to find that in Jesus. They don't know
right.
that yet, but if
But you
I
gotta tell them, baby.
if I'm trying to do it in such a loving way because but for the grace of God I would not have my eyes opened, right?
Right.
And I want to be like that star that is used to draw them to the Son of God that
Let's go.
then will change them because the star didn't change them. The star was just a pointer in the
Right.
direction of. So there's nothing I'm going to say, do,
Mm,
think, nothing. I cannot change these people, nor is it my job. The job of
mm,
the star was to be a steady guide to get them to the feet of Jesus. And that
mm.
is what he has revealed to me. That is my place. And
I
so
love it.
I want to do that with boldness, but I also want to do that with grace and mercy because
Yeah.
again, I have been on the other side of that,
Right.
and I'm just thankful to be able to have any role at all in it.
I love it. Several things to what you just said, all pointing back to scripture. Firstly, it's it's the mix of grace and truth. John says that Jesus came full of grace and truth, and that's ultimately what we want. We can't be on one end of the pendulum, only on grace and we never speak up, only on truth and all we do is speak and we never listen and we never try to understand and we never show grace. So grace and truth. But then it also reminds me of um, it's interesting, another pagan worshiping the sun, Abraham, the first one that God called, the first one that God chose, saying, I'm going to make a great nation from you. I'm going to be your God. You're going to be my people.
Mhm.
He didn't ask, hey, what would you think about? He's like, you're mine. Yeah, I
Right.
got you. You're coming with me. And this may be another episode we talk about God choosing. But
Right.
because I actually did have somebody on one of our posts say, "What do you think about once saved, always saved?" And I'm like, "Well, you didn't do nothing to get yourself saved, so you can't do nothing to lose it." But
Mhm.
you're opening up a huge can here that we can get on a
Yeah.
call and talk about. That
Yeah,
we can't do
yeah.
this over comments
Right,
in
it's gonna
Facebook.
take more than a few keystrokes,
Yeah.
right.
But and then he also in John, Jesus said, "I have many sheep that are not of this fold,"
Mhm.
meaning they're not Jews.
Yeah.
They're not the people that I chose from the beginning and have been doing my work through this
Mhm.
whole however many thousands of
Yeah,
years. I have people not of this fold, sheep that I have to go get.
yeah,
And that's the thing is we don't know who God is going to open their eyes. We don't know who God has chosen, who God is going to adopt into his family. So we can't be afraid to get that. That's the thing I love about Jesus is he was so unconventional. He was so against the grain spiritually or religiously or whatever that they were like, what, you can't do that.
yeah.
You can't eat with tax collectors and prostitutes. And what are you doing? You're supposed to be a rabbi, you're supposed to be a teacher, and you're not even fasting, you're not washing your hands, you're plucking the stuff out of the, on the Sabbath and all. He did not care. He's like,
No, yeah, he cracks me up, I know. Yeah, I'm thankful that he did come and take on our form and give us a
"Mm,
lot of good examples of, what not to do and what to
mm,
do, and I feel sorry for the Pharisees because they were, like, front and center to all of his condemnation and and the sweet little prostitutes and tax collectors that, everyone hated and just ignored and, outcasts is, who he sought after the most, and
mhm."
thank God, because I'm in that category, and I'm so
And me
thankful
too.
that he didn't just leave me there,
Right.
and I know there are so many people that they just want to feel that real, genuine, no strings attached, safe love and acceptance.
Yes.
So many people with trauma, so much of it came from childhood where the very people that should have protected and should have nurtured and kept safe are the same people that destroyed their innocence, and they don't know who to trust and they don't know how to trust. And in this world you do have to be careful, but when Jesus is your savior,
Mm,
you do not have to worry, and that is how I have overcome this trust issue. I don't have to trust a man, but I can trust God with the people in my life. So if he brings them in, he brings them in. I'm supposed to either, witness to them, they're there to teach me something, or they might be my new friend for life, or he can remove them as fast as he brought them
and they
in.
might be a
And
wolf in sheep's clothing,
right,
or part of the wrong team that is seeking whom he may devour.
right.
Yeah, that we have
Yeah.
to have discernment for.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is he will give us that. He will warn us. He will gut prompt us. He will do what he knows will get our attention to keep us safe,
Mm,
because he loves us, because he is our shepherd.
mm,
And so when you grasp that, when you understand, because there's no man on the planet that I would just go, "Oh, okay, well, I of course I can trust him," when it's your dad that's destroyed your trust, who wouldn't be on the radar?
right.
So,
Everybody's a suspect.
yeah, so you can't just will yourself out of it, but you absolutely can trust those people with God being your sovereign savior, because you can say, okay, if you tell me to move this way, I'm going to move this way, even though you're moving me towards something that's uncomfortable. I
Right.
trust you because this is you. And
Right.
so you'll protect me. And if you move me away from it and you take it from me and I don't understand, I have to know that you know more than me. And
Right.
so I trust you in that.
Yeah.
And it is just an everyday decision. It's sometimes an every hour decision. There was
Right.
something that happened recently that, I immediately was like, okay, Lord, did I hear you wrong? Are you reversing this? Do you want me to take this back? Do you want me to
Yeah.
pull this? What do you want me to do? Because he knows that's how I think. So he immediately started giving me reconfirmations to what he already had me doing. So it's just a conversation with your father. It's, if he knows you're trying to follow and he knows you're truly confused, you're not just being rebellious, so you're not moving forward, but you're waiting for him
Right.
and he wants to move you. He's going to give you what you need to be moved. And
Right.
so he knows your heart. He knows you're
Yes.
not, but you're like, I don't know, Lord, this could be you like shutting this door. So I'm not going to go bang my head into it because it's not going to open if you shut it. So
Right.
I'm going to gently approach. And if it's
Yeah.
you, so that, I mean, it's like talking to you, if I'm wondering something about something you said, I'm going to call you and ask, it's just that same thing. It's a
Mm.
relationship that is so safe.
Mm. Wow. It is the safest one. It is. It, and I was praying today actually, and I was just like, God, I don't even understand how good you are,
Oh yeah.
how powerful you are. I think I have an idea, but I really don't. Like,
No.
like, like I talked about earlier, it's seeing through a glass darkly. Like, there's different variations of darkness, right?
Yeah.
If this is like completely black, then maybe you get to gray,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you still don't know nothing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Our minds are going to be blown forever. And this is where it comes back to this whole thing is why would we make assumptions about God that he doesn't say? Why would we?
Yeah.
How can you read the Bible, look at how God has done things, how he's saved Paul, shone a bright light out of the sky, knocks him off the horses, talking evidently in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, where are you? First of all, I can't see anything now because you just blinded me, but all I can hear you. I mean, we don't say God doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
We say, well, yeah, he did because it's in the Bible. We have no problem with that. We have no problem with the burning bush. We have no problem with a donkey talking
Yeah.
to Balaam
Yeah.
and saying, you idiot, I'm not going because there's a freaking angel with a sword that will kill us.
Yeah.
And then Elijah and Lord, open his eyes, let him see the host of angels
Yeah.
and protectors that are surrounding this army that thinks they've got us surrounded.
Yeah.
We are so technologically advanced and so sophisticated and so cultured that we have no clue anymore about spiritual warfare, about the principalities and the powers of the air. And we've just chosen to forget half of the Bible that are miracles and ways of God working
Yeah.
that you cannot explain scientifically or or anyway, other than God just decided
Yeah.
to hold the sun in place and
Yeah.
cause this day to go longer,
Yeah.
and so that the Israelites could win this battle. I mean, it's unfathomable what God can do.
Yeah.
His power, his wisdom, his goodness, and he will do whatever it takes to get his sheep that he has to get. And Jesus
Unfold.
said, all that the Father give to me
Will
will
come.
come to me, and
Yeah.
I will not lose any of them.
Yeah.
So we're about trying to help find and identify those sheep
Yeah.
and share Jesus with them. Maybe God would choose to use us to bring one of his sheep to him. That's what this is all about, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
We're
And it's not our job to even question, are they a sheep or a goat? It's our job to
right,
tell them and to bring them in, and he'll sort them out later.
right,
That's the beauty of it. It's not even my judgment call. It is just, if they're willing
absolutely,
to hear and to learn, you bring them in, and then you let God work on their heart. And if they're faking it, or they're, they just don't get it, and he doesn't open their eyes, that's between him and them,
right.
has nothing to do with me.
Well, and there's a good chance if they respond positively, there's a great
Yeah.
chance they are.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that aren't even going to respond positive. Nah, I'm good. I don't
Yeah.
need that.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, wipe the dust off of our feet and keep moving on to the next one.
Yeah. I usually will go for another round or two before I'm going to wipe off any dust, but
Oh, of course, of
because
course.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
stubborn. But yeah.
you're more stubborn than I am, for sure. It depends on the situation and
Yeah.
how hard of a no you get.
Yeah. 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 I've had some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Awesome. Well, we could go on for hours and days talking about the goodness of God and his power and his ways and I do want to get into in some of our future episodes just some of that, and because hopefully some people that are coming to know the Lord through all of this will end up watching our podcast, and God will use us to teach them things about the Lord that he's taught us over our lifetime, and he's continuing to teach us. But there's just some things about God and how he works and what we've seen and learned, that we just want to talk about and brag about God on and get into in the future, and maybe maybe debate some things that you and I see differently about
Sure.
that, and about church and church authority and all these things.
Yeah, you want to get into it? I can take you. Come on. Come on, Cletus. Come on, Cletus.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's a
maybe
lot.
people should see that side. They always see us agreeing on everything, but
Yeah.
I'm
We should
still
come
trying
up
to.
with a list of the top,
Yeah,
5 or 10 things that we don't agree on. I
I
don't know
don't
if
think
there
there's
would be
10.
5 or
No,
10.
no, I
Yeah,
don't think
maybe
there
we
is.
might
But
get 3, but
yeah, yeah, because it is interesting, because we are very much alike, and then we have some things that we're like, it's got to be the one thing that we just, you just didn't quite develop properly, so you're
yeah.
just not getting it.
No, you're just weird. But uh or you're not enlightened yet. I'm still
It's
praying for
okay.
you,
Yeah, it's okay.
Awesome.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, this has been good, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. But the exciting thing is we should be getting the forward from Governor Perry here in the next few weeks. And are those chapters finished? Do we have a release date for the addition
No,
to
I'm waiting
yet?
on everything is done. I have 2 of the 3 interviews scheduled. I'm waiting on the 3rd. Once I have that done, then I just have to have it, everything reformatted and
Right.
redone and, all
Rebooked.
that. Mhm.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yep.
Okay. Well, we'll hopefully be seeing it in Q1 of 2026 sometime.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Awesome. Well, I think the next episode that we're going to record, I may be in Kenya.
Ooh,
If it's
okay.
not the next one, it'll be the following one because I will be in Kenya in January.
Okay.
So we're a couple of days away from Christmas, and then I leave for Kenya the first week of January on the 7th. So
Okay.
we will hopefully I'll get to broadcast from Nairobi.
That would be awesome.
So yeah. All right, sis. Well, I love
Okay.
you,
Love
and
you.
always good to see you and hang out and talk about Jesus and Ibogaine and the healing that he has brought through that amazing compound. And we're gonna just continue to pray for God to make it more available, more affordable, more um, known or discoverable or whatever. Because there's tens, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people
Yeah.
that need it.
And less stigmatized. Yeah.
Yeah. Make it less stigmatized, make it legal. Hello.
Yeah. Right.
First and foremost, make it legal so that
Mhm.
people can get it in the United States.
Well, and even if we have to take people to Mexico, I would rather them do that while we're waiting, because it is
Oh,
kind
for
of a long
sure.
process. But if we could get people to just do their research and have it be not as stigmatized, and people understand it's not going to send them to hell, it's not demonic, it's not satanic, whatever the word is that I hear of the day, but it and it is actually healing, people.
Yes.
So, but I
It's
think,
literally changing brain
yeah.
structures
Yeah.
for the
And
better.
the book that I'm writing with Brian Hubbard's wife is just a bunch of testimonies, that, so it's not just, my book will have my testimony and then, a few others that are Christians that had
Yeah.
profound encounters with the Lord. But
Yeah.
the other is not necessarily for Christians or non-Christians. It's
It's
just,
more of a scientific
yes, it's just
testimony.
ibogaine journey after ibogaine journey. So there, anybody anywhere will relate to somebody in that book.
Yeah.
So it's going to be,
And the reasons that they needed it and
exactly,
how it has helped them and affected them positively with whatever they brought into it. So
absolutely, yeah,
love it. Can't
yep,
wait to hear more about that.
yep,
And I think we are actually in the process of getting some of those people scheduled on our podcast to interview as well, so that
yeah,
we can kind of preview or
hmm,
maybe even go into more detail than what will be in the book. Because
right,
if we've got somebody for an hour, hour and a half, we can probably get a lot
oh yeah,
more
yeah.
detail
There's
about.
one I'm working on right now that is will blow your mind. Yeah, just
uh,
amazing. And so, yeah, I'm hoping to have very good news on that.
Awesome. All right,
Okay.
sis.
All right.
Love you.
Well, I
See
love
you
you too.
soon.
All right.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.